My 30 male, mom has dementia. My wife, 28, knew that before entering into marriage with me. I had made it clear from the beginning that my mom would not be going anywhere. My wife was okay with that. After marriage, I hired a caretaker and a nurse for my mom because of the increased workload at home. My wife was against the caretaker and nurse staying in our house because she felt our privacy was being violated. I told her she could sit in the bedroom if she wanted privacy. She told me that it's her home too, and she shouldn't be made to feel uncomfortable. She told me to send my mom to a nursing home or an old age home. I told her my mom wouldn't be going anywhere while I was alive. The nursing/old age homes are not good where I live. They're cruel and dismissive. They're also not properly equipped to take care of my mom. My wife is pregnant now and feels even more uncomfortable with the nurse and caretaker being here. I told her I'd happily get her a rented place right next to this home if she wanted her privacy that much. However, she doesn't want to be away from me. I told her she made a choice before getting married to me and that I warned her very well in advance before the marriage. I don't mind losing her. She can go, but my mom is in dire condition. My mom gave birth to me and needs my help now. So, am I the idiot? I don't mind losing her, she can go, but my mom is in dire condition? You are the idiot just for this comment alone. You mentioned the house next door? Rent it for your mother and her live-in carers. Get a nanny cam if you're so worried about mistreatment, or hire more trustworthy staff to look after her. What are you going to do if your wife leaves you? And when your mother eventually passes, will you expect your wife after many months or years to be waiting for you with open arms? Let me clue you in, buddy. She won't be there waiting for you. She will already have moved on with someone who loves, respects, and treats her so much better than you obviously do. I certainly wouldn't want to waste my life on someone who doesn't think the child we have together, and I, am a top priority. No, it is against medical advice to move a dementia patient, as getting them out of their familiar surroundings is destabilizing, very traumatic, and does worsen their condition. Unless it is a medical emergency, leave them where they are. Apparently, people do not seem to understand dementia. This could be very traumatic for his mother to change homes and not see a familiar face. The wife has changed her tune after marriage, and it is not fair to the husband or his mother. OP is not the idiot. You are the idiot. You told your wife your mother wasn't going anywhere, and now your home has additional occupants, and you refuse to even hear your wife out on how these changed circumstances are grating on her. And she's pregnant, and is a second-class citizen in her own home who apparently has no say. Given that you refuse to hear her out, or recognize that maybe now that she's living through this, it's too much for her, you default to, but I warned you. She's warning you too. Do something or lose her. Not the idiot. The wife knew the mother had dementia and continued with the relationship. And I'm sorry, but how does having a professional nurse in your home make you a second-class citizen? His wife is not a queen or a dictator. They are in a partnership. OP is doing his best to accommodate and be reasonable. He's presenting multiple fair options and has been upfront every step of the way. You are the idiot, just for the sheer lack of respect for your wife. You discussed having your mom live with you before marriage. You did not discuss a live-in caretaker. Instead, you acted unilaterally and are being incredibly flippant with her, merely voicing her concerns. Why even get married if you have this, I get the final say, go sit in the bedroom if you're uncomfortable attitude? And his wife's lack of respect for his dying mother? What some people don't understand here is that OP sounds like the guardian for his mother. She cannot do things for herself or fend for herself. He is mother's only advocate. She can't defend her interest, and if he doesn't, nobody will. Some people take that responsibility seriously. I, 26 female, am getting married this spring. He's the love of my life, and I'm honestly so happy. The issue comes from the fact that I have a brother, 20, who has several conditions and disabilities. I want to make it clear, I absolutely positively love my brother with all of my heart. My problem, though, is that when we were growing up, everything was always about him, and I was the back burner kid because I was older and able-bodied. My parents also wouldn't let me participate in anything that he couldn't be directly involved in too, so that made it hard, especially because I loved things like camping and road trips that I remember us doing before he was born. but all of that came abruptly to an end. When we look back on memorable events, such as my graduation photos, it's always remarked on as, "Oh, this is when brother was getting X done," or "That was when brother did X." I was also relied on a lot for care, and they're so busy planning for his future, which is admittedly more expensive than what was put away for me before he was born, has been used up, and they've never been able to plan for mine. They weren't bad parents or anything, but my brother just needed more everything. Fortunately, I managed to get into a decent college on a scholarship, and that's where I met my fiance. He's really into outdoorsy things too, and we're in the process of planning and saving for our dream wedding with the help of his wonderful parents. We plan on getting married at a national park about 2 hours away by car from my parents' house, and plan to have about 30 people at the wedding. My parents have told me that this won't work. It's too hard to take him that far. The wedding times we have planned are too long, and the guest list is too much, and the environment and activities we have are not friendly for my brother. My mother asked me to get married at a local courthouse down the street instead, and to only invite my parents, his parents, and my brother, exclude fiance's siblings, and we can then have a reception back at their house. And I said no. My dad counteroffered with a small local place with a courtyard, but I said no. I've dreamed about being married at the national park. After much back and forth, I just finally asked my parents how they'd feel about maybe my brother not going to the wedding, and we would cover half of the cost for making sure he has the care he needs for the event. They were shocked and called me selfish, and I tried to explain that I just wanted this one day to be about me, but they just told me they were disappointed in who I've become and thought I was more mature and understanding than that. My fiance is on my side, and in-laws have offered to help us cover the cost of care for the wedding, but my parents said that they can't support me if I can't support him. A couple family members reached out to care for him on the day of, but some others said that they won't be going to my wedding unless he comes too, and that I have no heart. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your parents really suck here. Whilst it would be nice to involve your brother, there are other ways you could accommodate your brother's needs without it being local, especially as he is not good with people he doesn't know. Live streaming it, for example, so he can watch and also step away if it becomes too much. They are asking the groom to sacrifice having his loved ones there, and that's completely unreasonable. Honestly, it sounds more like OP's parents want to do what is easier for them. Yes, I get it, and for those with autism, you have to anticipate their reaction and keep them from situations that can be harmful to them. But from what OP has said about her brother, it doesn't sound like it would be as massive an issue as they fear. At the very least, they could probably prepare him for meeting new people with pictures, videos, and even live chat. Absolutely not an idiot. You seem to already have sacrificed so much for your brother, but you deserve to have your wedding day be all about you and your partner, and not about your brother. Stand firm in this. Maybe offer to have a separate reception a different day with your brother and family. I hope your wedding day is awesome. I, 27 male, am a nutritionist and a fitness trainer. My wife, 23, is a stay-at-home mom. She's now 5 months pregnant. My mom came to our home to help my wife out as she's having a difficult pregnancy. She's being made to eat only green leafy vegetables, other veggies, rice, Indian flatbread, lentils, and curd. My mom makes bland food for her since she's unable to keep anything down. My mom is also very strict about her not overeating oil, sweets, junk, etc. I make separate food containing meat, eggs, milk, spices, etc. for myself and my mom. My mom and I do the household chores since my wife cannot do anything due to severe nausea, bloating, acidity, etc. My wife has started to feel bad because she's stuck eating bland food while we're eating spicy food containing meat. I tried consoling her by telling her that it's just for 4 more months, but she said since she's likely to have a C-section, she'll not be allowed to have anything but bland food for 2 months at least. My mom said she'd have to eat it for longer than that, as eating spicy and non-vegetarian food is bad for nursing women. My wife then told her she wanted me to keep her company by eating the same food. I refused because I prefer animal protein over plant protein. I, however, told her that I'd stop eating junk food, sweets, etc. She is now mad at me and says that I'm selfish for for not even sacrificing my current food habits. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. It is largely because sentences like, non-vegetarian food is bad for nursing women, are not based on fact. Surely there's a compromise between not eating all the spicy, yet still being able to eat a balanced diet with meat, etc. Pregnant women don't have to go vegan. I don't think you necessarily need to have the same diet as your wife, by the way. But surely there are better compromises than what's going on here. Get her doctor's advice and let your wife decide based on that. It sounds like you're letting your mom be overly controlling here. You are the idiot, and so is your mom. Your wife is struggling and hates her food, but instead of, at least when you're with her, eating the same, you are cooking stuff she would like and eating it in front of her. That's nasty. Also, not sure what business does your mom have in telling your adult wife what she can and can't do or eat. I feel like there's a layer of cultural differences here that might not have been pointed out in the post. The wife should have a doctor telling her what is okay to eat during pregnancy and while nursing for sure. OP is not the idiot because he made a perfectly reasonable compromise by eliminating junk food. OP is a nutritionist. That means absolutely nothing. There are no legal requirements, no medically certified programs, nothing. You can claim to be a nutritionist and advertise as such with zero repercussions. He hasn't been in medical classes for dietitians, the actual medical doctor version of this. He is not trained or educated enough even to begin to make decisions for the well-being of a pregnant woman. You are the idiot for letting someone keep her on that miserable diet and then eating things outside of that diet around her, unless an actual doctor recommended it. If your wife thinks she can handle meat and spicier foods, she should be allowed to try them again. I've also never heard of diet restrictions like that after a C-section, and I've known several who've gotten them. It is nonsense. I nursed for 6 years, all total, and ate all the hot and spicy food. The kids didn't care one bit, and I figure if the hot peppers did cross over in the milk, it would have burned me too. So I, 23 female, recently was having a conversation with my boyfriend, 24, and we started talking about our morals and beliefs. We got on the topic of pro-life, pro-choice, which is a relatively new topic for me because I've never really thought about it before, since most people in my country are for it, and it's a legally protected right. So I stupidly thought that most people, especially my age, were pro-choice. I obviously made my stance clear on the matter and explained in great detail why I believed in the absolute right to bodily autonomy. I was genuinely shocked when he told me that he was against it and that since childhood, his church and parents would frequently take him to clinics to protest at them. The conversation then got a bit heated, and we both decided to leave it alone to keep the peace. I, however, couldn't get the conversation out of my head and pretty much replayed it in my mind on an almost constant basis. So I told my mother and father about it, and they were surprised by his stance as I expected. They also advised me to end the relationship and to come back home. I then talked about it with my 2 favorite coworkers. I don't have any friends in the USA yet, and they told me it was common for people here to have these views and that it's normal. I mean, I moved to an entirely new country for him because I had great hopes for our relationship, and now I'm feeling off about him. I really don't know how to process all of this. To clarify, we did discuss it while he was living in my country, and he seemed to agree with me, never disagreed. It's only now that he's clear about his stance. This is why even my parents are so surprised, because they remember a day when we discussed it over dinner. My parents feel like he lied by omission, and they're right, he did lie. When I asked him why he had never said any of this before, he said that he felt it would have been rude to say what he truly felt as he was in my home. I said that couldn't be it, because there were plenty of times when he disagreed with my dad on sports, and plenty of times where he stood up for himself and disagreed with my entire family, which is why our conversation turned heated as I accused him of deceiving me. I agree with your parents on this. Do not have intimacy with someone who disagrees with you about what to do if you accidentally get pregnant as a result. Things have the potential to get very ugly. Birth control is not 100% fail-safe. If you ever get into a situation where you need a termination, it's better to have a supportive partner to go through that with, not someone who is against it, much less someone who actually thinks it's okay to attempt to obstruct you from having it. Just because some attitude is common somewhere doesn't mean you want to date someone with it. I think OP should absolutely move back. When you disagree on such foundational issues like this, it can be such a mess. As soon as he said he would go with his family to protest clinics, I would have walked out right then. Never have intimate relations with someone unless you're both on the same page about what happens if one of you get pregnant. It's a recipe for disaster. It's not even his personal belief, but the fact he sees nothing wrong with harassing people who went to clinics, the thought of putting women through that sickens me. It's a huge red flag if you talked about it back in your country and he didn't tell you his opinion on it, but once you move, he does? To me, it looks like he waited to make sure he got you trapped with him. That behavior is really concerning. My teen female parents divorced when I was 6. They remained amicable, and both of them got married when I was little. My stepdad is a sweet guy, pretty rough on the outside, but a total cinnamon roll on the inside. He has an older son that I see as my big brother and my stepsister. My dad, on the other hand, married a not-so-kind woman with 3 daughters that I barely know. I live primarily with my mom since I like the family environment way more. I love my dad, but to be honest, being in his house is awful. He spends a lot of time with his stepdaughter and I'm okay with that. But when it's my time with him, she's always around and he forces her presence in every activity I want to do with him. Movies, she's to come. Fishing, she's to come. Camping, she's to come. They make me feel like the third wheel in my own time with my father, and it's honestly exhausting. I've been trying to get him to do things with only me, but he always says that she is his daughter as much as I am, and that it's not fair. The last straw was last Sunday. My mom and my stepdad made a small birthday party for me. I told my dad since August, and I made him promise that it'll just be him attending, that none of his daughters and wife were invited because it was my party and I didn't want them there. He fought at first, of course, but said okay, and I honestly believed him. However, around 3 p.m., he shows up with his stepdaughter on his hand, and I lost it. I took him aside and asked why she was here, and he said that she's his daughter, and wherever he goes, she comes with him, and I couldn't help but start to cry. I guess he felt bad and realized what he did, but it was too late. My stepdad came, and after telling him what happened, he asked my dad to leave. He looked at me, I guess waiting for me to tell him no, but I just hugged my stepdad and he left. I'm thinking about stopping the visits and telling the court that I just want to be with my mom and my stepdad, because it's obvious that for my actual dad, I'm not the one who comes first. Not the idiot. Your dad's hugely off base here, especially since he spends a lot of one-on-one time with his stepdaughter. He's just trying to either double up his time spent with his kids or foster some sort of bond between the two of you. You are not a priority in his life, which is heartbreaking, but you don't need to keep giving him opportunities to inflict that pain. If you decide to ask for less time with him, don't feel guilty about it. He's done everything in his power to show you exactly how much he cares. You are the idiot for not realizing that you now have other siblings and your father is signed on to be their dad as well. This means he will be a father figure to them as well, and you'll need to accept that. When he said that his stepdaughter is as much his daughter as you are, he's right. She is now, and that's not unfair to you. You have 2 dads, right? So does your stepsister. You are not the idiot. That's the most heartbreaking part. People calling OP the idiot is acting like she's telling the girl to disappear when she's at her father's house, but no. She just wants like 3 hours of her father's time to just be the 2 of them. This isn't unreasonable. It's wonderful that dad has stepped up to parent the stepkids who lost their dad. Sadly, what he never noticed was that due to his behavior, his own daughter lost a father. Luckily, OP has a strong support in mom and stepdad.